Hello, everyone, and welcome to my senior project. I'm so excited to share with you all everything my presenters and panelists have planned for today. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone to keep their cameras off and mics muted. You can leave the setting on gallery view, but make sure to click the 3 dots next to your box and click hide non-video participants. This will make everything go smoother with no distractions. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to introduce myself, and then later on, my panelists will introduce themselves during their presentation portion. So my name is Laura Zhang. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a 5th year theater major with an emphasis in education and community engagement. I started at Cal Poly in 2016 as a first-time freshman straight out of high school. Throughout my years at Cal Poly, I fell in love with outreach and education, and that was the inspiration for my project. Today will consist of 30 minutes of presentations and 30 minutes of questions and answers. I have a set amount of questions prepared for our panelists, but feel free to drop any questions you may have in the chat box. Thank you all for being here. Without further ado, let's begin with our first presenter, and that's me. Let me share screen and then, okay, hello everyone. So this is a presentation about the Department of Theater and New Dance at Cal Poly Pomona. So a little overview, the theater department has 5 different options. We have acting, design and technical production, dance theater, general theater, and education and community engagement. We will be covering each of these options briefly, and we will be talking about our student experiences. So the major options. Acting is self-explanatory for anyone interested in going into acting. We focus on acting on stage, but we also have classes like filmmaking, where you can make films, directing, where you can direct actors and stuff like that. Design, we have a bunch of different design options, different focuses you can focus on for design. You know, there's costume design, there's stage management, lighting design, sound design, which we'll cover a little bit later. Next, we have dance theater. What our lovely Alondra will be presenting about dance theater. And then for general theater, it's a little bit of everything, which is really nice because you get to experience it all. And lastly, we have education and community engagement, which I will be presenting for, and let's begin. So these are the major required classes. So for all the theater options, everyone needs to complete all these classes. If you see the or right here, that basically means that you can take either of those classes. And some of these classes you need several units of, which it's getting a little technical, but if you look on our website, we have curriculum sheets where you can find out more information about it. So theater practicum, these are 2440A and 4440A. Yes, and with these units, they're basically when you work on a production. So you can either work as an actor, as a crew, you can do design like scenic design where you design the sets. So there are many options that you can do to satisfy these units. Next, these are the crews I was talking about. So we have shop crews, running crews, and publicity / front of house crews. These are different opportunities that students get to participate in our productions. So productions, this year we have had many virtual productions because of COVID, but typically we have productions on main stage theater and in the black box theater, which is also known as the studio theater. So these were our fall productions. I worked on Men on Boats, and there was Zorro and Monsters, Myths, and Poetry. In the spring, we just had Feifu, and we had the student written 1 acts. And we actually have 2 productions coming up. The dance theater, the dance production, the dance concert actually premieres tonight. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely check that out. And we also have Here and There coming up. So these are our full-time faculty. And Bernardo Solano is here with us. He is our department chair. He is also a professor. And these are our staff. So definitely I will drop this presentation in the chat box. So anyone who wants to download it can. Okay, let's begin with acting. Okay.
Hello, my name is Breanna Simmons. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a theater major with an emphasis in acting, and I'll be telling you about the acting option. The repertory company. This is the first thing you might want to know about when joining our theater department. This is basically the group of actors where the productions are cast. Not only that, it's also the team that you're going to be surrounded with when you're auditioning and helping each other out and things like that. For the productions, there are several productions. Some of the productions I was involved with were Skin of Our Teeth and the Polaroid Stories. Yes, the repertory company has the productions, and then you for the option required classes, these are all of your option required classes that Laura was talking about earlier. Some of my favorites were voice class because it taught me how to breathe. I never thought voice class would be like a breath and body mindfulness class. I thought it would be singing, but that was my favorite, as well as business of acting because it teaches you about television and then directing as well. Thank you so much.
Next, we have Chris M. for design and technical production.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad that you are here. So let's get right into it. On the next slide, we have the basics of a designer, basically, at Cal Poly Pomona. This is what you should expect when you are working on a production. We have the design meetings where we do the concept development. We bounce ideas with the director, with each other designers, sometimes with your assistants as well. It's just so that it's always a team effort and never a solo one. We have production meetings, finals week. Finals week is when it gets to tech week and dress rehearsal. It's the busiest time, and sometimes it goes up to like 8 hours for one day. So please make sure that you're bringing food and water for those days as well. Live and Learn is new, where after a show, we talk about it. We talk about what we could do better. And then next slide, please. For productions, we have the 17, 37s, 24s, and 44s. It's just, as Laura said earlier, it's working on a show as crew, be it sound, lights, the board operators, or if you're running actual crew where you let people in as ushers or house management. Option required classes. My favorite one out of all of these so far has to be Introduction to Film and American Culture. I took that with a professor named Fossum, and he makes it so that when you're watching a film that you learn so much that does apply from filming to theater itself. The resources that we have at Cal Poly Pomona are the costume shop, sewing machines, etc. We have a lot of resources available, especially when you are coming in and learning everything for the first time. Ask our faculty, ask our staff, ask other students if you need help. Always ask. It's better to ask than, stand there in the corner and not ask. These are other resources: sound, scenic, and stage management. So I'm a stage manager at Cal Poly Pomona, and we only have other stage managers before, but now we have a new faculty member, Brian Newman. He is now in charge of kind of all the stage managers, and he has a class. So if you're interested in management, please look into that class. It's very useful, very helpful, and he teaches a lot in a very short amount of time. So for the opportunities at the department, we have KCA-CTF. If you work on a show and you're nominated for the Kennedy Center, you go wherever they are hosting the event. One time it was in Arizona. I got the pleasure of going there, and it was really wild experience because I learned so much from professionals there that I never would have learned otherwise. We also have rentals here, where if you talk to John Bastow and ask him, hey, can I work here? He will hire you as a part-time student, basically. And if someone comes in and rents the main stage or the studio, he will pay you hourly wage. It's a good experience, and you get money as well. Thank you.
Next, we have Alondra for dance theater.
Hi, my name is Alondra and my pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am a dance theater major. So for the options in dance theater, my favorite class has definitely been playwriting and then contemporary ballet, because I come from a dance background. So playwriting was something that I wasn't really familiar with. So taking it with Bernardo was like super insightful and a really fun class. And then contemporary ballet with Jeremy was also really fun because it combines a lot of theater with ballet, traditional ballet. So it's just really fun, and you really get to explore what kind of dance you want to do. Jeremy is super collaborative, and it's really getting to know about your body at the same time. We pretty much learn all these kinds of dances. Kim teaches salsa. Gail does dance theater and Zach does hip hop. I've taken literally Zach every single semester just because I love Zach. I've gotten to know him throughout all my 4 years, and he's an awesome professor. A lot of the professors are super collaborative, and they're all very, they all get to really know you, which is really nice because it creates a community. And all the classes, like, I would take multiple times. So for the dance concert, my favorite part about dance concert is how collaborative it is, because you get to know everybody in the dance department. It's a small department, but you also get to reach out from, I've worked with people who are in business who like to do dance. So they're also in the dance concert. So it's a great way to just know everybody at Cal Poly that's interested in dance. They don't really have to be theater majors. It's really inclusive, and it's a fun experience because we all get to be in each other's pieces. If you want to do multiple pieces, you can. And it's just a lot of bonding with the community. The American College Dance Association, it's pretty much a weekend, like Thursday through Sunday, and all the Cal states in the area get together, all the community colleges, and you dance like for 12 hours a day, which is kind of intense, but it's also really fun because you get to see what other Cal states and community colleges, what their dance department productions, what they look like. And not only that, but you're also learning from other professors from other colleges. And it's also a great networking opportunity because dance is such a like small, like you get to know everybody in dance. And so you meet other students and we all get each other's Instagrams, and it's a really fun experience and really intense, but it's worth it. Thank you.
Next, we have Emily for general theater.
Hi everyone, I'm Emily. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a general theater emphasis. So as everyone has said, you get to work on shows, and as a general theater major, it's actually really exciting because you get to work with both sides of the show a lot of the times, and you're working with pretty much everyone in the department. A couple of my favorite shows that I worked on was 12th Night. I was a Spotlight, and it was very challenging at times because there were a couple scenes where I had to like follow someone really fast on stage. So I felt like I was always challenged and everything, and I ended up like learning a lot out of all of them. And then another one was I got to ASM, which if none of you guys know, is assistant stage managing for The Cradle Will Rock, which is a musical that we did here. And Bernardo Solano actually directed it. That was a really, really fun experience too, because I really was working with everyone on the production. And I feel like I grew and I learned so much about everyone and about Cal Poly and about, behind the scenes and about the actors as well. These, as everyone has seen before, these are the option required classes. My all-time favorite class that I've ever taken at Cal Poly was directing, because Colin Campbell, who's the teacher, he's just like the most amazing teacher ever. And if you really get to have the reins and do your own little productions, you know, with your own classmates and stuff, and I feel like you really get to explore everything. And whether you're in acting or a like technical emphasis, I feel like everyone gets to learn a little bit more about the entire thing as a whole. And also another class we took, which I actually have an example here, was costume craft. And we actually got to make little aprons, and I made it for my dad for his birthday. So I just want to show you guys, kind of dirty, but oh God, you can't see because my background, but it's an apron, it's there. But that was fun too. The great thing about being a general major is if you're unsure if you want to do tech or if you want to be an actor, you can really try out everything. Like your first year there, you can really do a little bit of everything. You know, you take classes, you take acting classes, you take some tech classes, you take something and you find what you really fit into. For me, I wanted to be general the entire time because I love doing everything. And you really get to get involved in every aspect of theater. And I think that's a really great, and it's a good thing to know for theater. Thank you.
Okay, so hello again. It's my turn to go. So I already introduced myself, but I'm Laura and my pronouns are she, her, hers. And my emphasis is education and community engagement. So for productions, I put a picture of intimate apparel up because this is one of the first productions I've ever worked on. I was wardrobe crew. So over here, this is Mary, a fabulous actress, and I had to help her change her costume. And it was insane because we only had like a 1 minute between scene changes. So we would like run after her, like me and like two other people would that also part of wardrobe crew would like chase after her and be like ripping clothes off, putting clothes on. And it was just like such a great and fun experience. This was during my second year of college. So when I was a sophomore, and I just had a lot of fun on this production. I felt like I really belonged in the theater department after this production. So applied theater. So for the acting options, for the design, technical options, general option, they have 3700. So what Chris was talking about, like the 17 and the 37s. We, for education and community engagement, we have the 1770A and 3770A, which is basically more so of a project-based unit class. It's not a class you attend, but you have to work on projects for these classes and you come up with your own project. And a project I came up with was my binder project. So over here, I've put some screenshots of it. So basically I was inspired by my job that, hey, there's like, although Cal Poly Pomona is very known for all our STEM majors, like we have art majors too. And I really wanted to showcase all the arts majors that we have at Cal Poly Pomona. So we had theater, of course, theater and new dance, which we are presenting about today. We have music, we have visual communications design and art history. And I really put that into a document so that when other prospective students have questions, we can show this to them and tell them that, hey, we do have any other things other than STEM. So next, these are the option required classes. So my favorite class I've ever taken at Cal Poly was peer theater. I took it with Paula and she is an awesome professor. For this class, we spent 2 hours a week in a classroom with our professor Paula and then with your classmates. And then you spend 2 hours a week at a school mentoring students. So the great thing about this is I had a really small classroom size. Like there was 4 of us, including myself, and then 5, including the professor. And then we would go to this magnet school and mentor these students. So we each got 3 to 4 mentees, and we got the opportunity to write a play with them for them to perform at their school, as well as our school's main stage theater. And this was quite an experience for them because they were about, I want to say around like 5th grade age. And they got the opportunity to perform on main stage theater, which seats about 500 people, which is like crazy for like fifth graders, because you never really get to experience that. At least if you're not into like productions and stuff like that at that young age, you don't get to experience being in front of a live audience of with so many seats. So that was such a great class, and it really helped me like realize I wanted to work in education. Maybe I didn't want to be a teacher, but I really wanted to like work in education and inspire other students about the arts. Another class I really liked was integrated arts. I feel like not many people know about this just because it's only a requirement for the education option. I know liberal studies majors have to take this class as well because it really helps you explore like teaching elementary school students. So it has an art portion, a dance portion, and a theater portion. And it was really fun. Of course, I loved the theater portion, but it was also really great to just get a little introduction to dance and a little introduction to art. Thank you so much. And that is the end of the portion for our presentations. I know we're a little above, ahead of schedule, but right now we will go straight to the panelists. So, okay. Thank you all for turning your cameras back on. So I do have a set of questions prepared, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box feature. I know Chris is monitoring that, so thank you so much, Chris. So starting off, because we covered a lot on the student experience and how y'all felt with certain classes, I want to ask Emily, what is the most valuable experience you have gained at Cal Poly Pomona?
Honestly, the most valuable experience I've ever gained was having to do so many different parts of theater. Because I've done everything from, act in shows to being assistant stage managing. And I think it just kind of made me a more well-rounded theater major in total. And it helped me really get to know every aspect of the department too. So I met pretty much everyone. And I feel like I came out of it knowing a lot more about theater in general. So yeah, that's probably my most valuable thing.
Okay, that's so cool. And that's great that you came out of it knowing so much more. So I guess that brings me to the question of like, if you could do something differently, what would you do?
So I transferred to Cal Poly, I think it was 3 years ago now, almost. That's crazy. I transferred to Cal Poly from another community college, and I didn't really get involved as much as I really wanted to. I feel like I was kind of shy in the beginning, and I felt like I kind of like kept to myself. I had my own personal things going on at the time. So like, I just kind of didn't get involved, and I really wish I would have got more involved because like you meet so many great people. And I feel like after I ASM, that's when I really wanted to do more. And then we went virtual. So I couldn't do anything at that point. So I felt like that was probably my biggest regret, was not doing more in the department.
I see. Well, thank you for giving the advice to our prospective students to do more, get involved. I guess my next question, not I guess, I know. My next question would be for Alondra. What do you recommend to new students?
This is kind of similar to Emily. I would just say get involved, honestly, because I know it's really scary, especially going to college. Like it's a big campus, you don't know anyone, and it can be intimidating. But especially the theater department, they're super nice. Like every professor I've had is like so nice, and all the people in the department are really nice. If you have any questions, they're like super helpful. Like no one's mean. Like I would just say get involved in as many clubs as you can, or just anything, honestly, like whatever you're comfortable with. It's probably the best thing you could do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is definitely a great recommendation. I would also like to add, like, join clubs and organizations. Like, even if it's not related to theater, like get involved on campus, because there's so many people on campus and you just meet so many people. And I think that's one of the best parts of like the human experience, is meeting new people. And then also you can definitely find a campus job. Finding a campus job is one of the best decisions I've ever made. I work for the Office of Outreach, and I've definitely found a community within my job in addition to theater, because there are so many places to find out where you fit in. And that's what I love about college. Like, for example, we have cultural centers, and I know not every school has that. We have the Native American Student Center, the Cesar E. Chavez Student Center for Higher Education, the Asian American Pacific Islander Student Center, the African American Student Center, the Women's Resource Center, and the Pride Center. We also have like the Disability Resource Center, Veterans Resource Center. We have the Dreamers Resource Center. So there are so many like places you can find your community, and I cannot recommend that to students enough.
Laura,
And
we have a
because
question.
I'm sorry.
We have a question in the chat.
Oh, yes, we do. What's something you'd tell an incoming freshman / transfer who's unsure about being a theater major? I feel like if it's something you're passionate about, just try it out. And there is a question that I will be asking Chris about, like, where is it? So sorry. How to be involved into theater as a non-major. And I guess I'll ask that to Chris now. Chris, what is the best way to get involved as a non-major?
If you're coming into Cal Poly and you're not sure if the theater department is right for you, I do suggest going into the theater department, walking around, looking around actually, look at the main stage. There are tours sometimes. Honestly, if you just ask a theater major, they'll love to talk about their theater because we love it so much. We honestly never stop talking about it. And one of the main reasons why I am in theater currently is the ACT club, actors collaborating with technicians. It's a club where you can join even regardless of experience with theater, and they'll teach you because the students there that are in the club will go step by step with you throughout the whole entire production. We also have another question, Laura.
So for what made me feel most at home, honestly, it was my job. Like of course, I love theater. I love the friends I made with theater. I have my friends right here on the screen with me. But I also really felt most at home when I got my job, because I felt like, hey, I belong somewhere. Like, these people care about me and I really care about them. And I felt that way about theater too. And this all happened at the same time. So I really enjoyed that. And I also want to direct this question to anyone who wants to answer it, actually. What clubs or do you all enjoy and that have made you feel most at home? Free range. Yes, Emily.
Well, I'm actually in ACT, and I've been in 2 productions of theirs. We did Heather's the musical, and we did Legally Blonde the musical, which I know a few of you guys know about. And I really love it because since I was a general major, I never actually signed up or auditioned for the rep company. So ACT kind of gave me legally dog. ACT gave me that, and I'm a singer too. So ACT gave me that like gateway to act and sing, and then still be able to do other productions that I could work behind the scenes. So it kind of gave me the opportunity to be on stage, and everyone that is in ACT are like the nicest people. And I've had some of my best memories, you know, staying until 10 o'clock at night with all my friends every night is really fun, sometimes tiring, but I think that's probably like my best experience.
Does anyone else want to answer that question? Yes, Breanna.
That's such a hard question, because I feel like all of them make you feel like you're at home no matter which club you are in or group. Like for rep company for an example, I know you have to audition, but you create, there's just this whole family, everyone is just so family oriented, no matter which club you're in or what group you're in, because you're going through everything together. You're going through auditions together, you're rehearsing scenes in the hallway. I know for ACT, like what Emily said, we're there till late at night, so we just become this huge family. So any of them.
Great. Well, because you mentioned family, I would like to ask Chris about the theater community at Cal Poly Pomona. What would you like to tell our prospective students about it?
So I don't know if you have scouted any other colleges and you've seen their actors and their designers. I know at Fullerton, there's a little of a divide, just a bit, but at Cal Poly Pomona, actors and designers are constantly working together. There is so much communication between everyone in the department that you honestly sometimes just wish it would not be as nice and generally chatty as well. Um, a lot of people tend to make their own groups as well, but everyone helps everyone else. There is never a group who will say no to you. If you ask an upperclassman, hey, I want to learn more about lights, can you please teach me? They'll ask you, what time are you free? What would you like to learn? What do you already know? It's never a no unless it's tech week and everyone's already dying. Then maybe it might be a no. But besides that, everyone will always help. Same thing with dance. If you have questions about dance, I think Alondra is more experienced in answering this question, but Alondra, please.
Yeah, honestly, in dance, everyone knows each other, or and I've had people, like I said, like people who are business majors, like will come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh my God, I danced when I was little, like I want to do it." And it's just like, yeah, like, I'm like, girl, like join. Like we have so many classes, all the teachers are so friendly and everyone's welcomed. Like honestly, like I'm on the opposite end where I went into when I was in ACT, like Legally Blonde was one of the first like acting productions I ever did. And so I was really nervous, but working with like everyone in ACT was like so incredible because everyone is so nice. Everyone was so welcoming. And like I was so shy, but I was so excited to be there and everyone's like really cool. So yeah, like there's everyone just really, everyone loves working with everyone. We're like people, like if that makes sense. Yeah.
That completely makes sense. And I completely agree because we have a strong community at Cal Poly Pomona, especially within the theater and new dance department. We really support each other. And I think that's what makes like a department great is when you support each other, because who wants a department where you just feel divided? So I guess my next question would be for Chris. What would you say is your experience with productions?
A lot of learning and a lot of hands-on learning specifically, because sometimes you will be put in a show without knowing every single step because you haven't taken up that role before. I was asked to be a sound designer 2 to 3 years ago, and I didn't know how to use the boards as effectively as I should have. So I went up to the faculty member, John Basto, and I asked, hey, John, can you please teach me how to operate this board? Because I know this, but I don't know that. And he took the time to teach me. And everyone in the production as well was equally patient with me. And they also showed me how to do my job better while not really saying anything negative towards me. It was always a learning environment, and the directors were always patient and kind and willing to take the time to stop, breathe, and make sure that I was okay.
That's wonderful. I'm glad, like I'm just so happy that people are so understanding in theater, that they care about each other and they really want us to succeed. Like they want like other classmates, peers to succeed. And I think that's what makes a production successful, is when you help each other and push each other to go further. So speaking of productions, I want to ask Breanna, what is your favorite production you have worked on? Because I know you've worked on a few.
My favorite production that I've worked on that's also hard. I would say Polaroid Stories. It was the last thing that I got to work on at school. Not that I didn't love everything else. I think that was also the only black box production that I've been in, and I thought it was so cool. It was something that I've never done before. Yeah, I just thought the lighting, everything about it was cool. The lights, the projections. I just got to do so many things that I've never done in any other production before, and it's very interesting.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm so glad that it was such an interesting and great experience for you. I know Alondra has experience with the dance concert, so I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the dance concert's always fun because you can be in multiple pieces if you want. The last one that we did at school was I was in Jeremy's, and that one was really fun because like I said, like you're working with multiple professors and you're learning different pieces at the same time. So it's really preparing you for what dance is like outside of college and being able to learn multiple pieces of choreography. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, long rehearsals, everyone gets to know each other. We're all struggling to get the choreo, but it's okay because we're all having fun and like we're all learning. And then at the end, like this whole like feeling of celebration, and then like, you know, we all get together again and like we celebrate that we got through it together. And so it just makes us even tighter as a community because we've been through like this whole journey throughout the entire like spring, fall semester. Like we go through it all year pretty much, but it's like all good.
Yeah, that's so great that it's so worth it at the end when something becomes like it's a work in progress up until like the performance date where it's like super successful and it just everything pays off. And I think that's what's so great about like rehearsing and then actually performing. One of my favorite productions I've ever worked on, I mentioned it a little earlier, I worked on intimate apparel. And I know Chris talked a little bit about the KCACTF, which is the competition at the Kennedy Center. And basically, Intimate Apparel, the show I worked on, actually got nominated to compete at KCACTF in Arizona. So we actually, the department I should say, drove a truck of the set to Arizona, which is quite insane when you think about it, because it's like, how do you fit like what's on main stage into a truck? But you know, we made it possible, which is so cool. And I know Chris worked on that. And so that was, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that.
So it's different working on a show. Bernardo drove that truck. I would like to point that out. Bernardo did indeed drive that truck, and nothing was broken. It was amazing. But working on the show at your school that you're used to and working on the show in Arizona where you're being graded and looked at, being evaluated is different, because when you're doing the show at school, it's for fun. It's because everyone put in the amount of hours, effort, sweat, tears into the show. But when you're doing it for a kind of like a score or a grade, it's a little different. It pushes you a little harder, but it also gives you so much tension that sometimes you just can't sleep at night. And we were there for, I believe, 3 days. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bernardo.
I see that Larry, one of our former students at Cal Poly Pomona theater students, mentioned that they actually drove 7 hours to Arizona, unloaded, and had tech rehearsal right after. And I think that just shows how we really dedicate ourselves to theater. And that's what makes it so great, is because we dedicate ourselves and then the end result is so worth it. And it's just so rewarding at the end. So thank you so much, Larry, for adding that in the chat. And thank you, Chris, for sharing your experience with that. I would like to ask everyone here, actually, what is one class that's really like stood out to you? So like your favorite class. I know you talked a little bit about it during the presentations, but I was wondering if you could go a little more in depth about it, starting with Alondra.
Honestly, it's hard to choose. I've had a lot of really great classes. Okay, I'm gonna say the one I'm taking right now is my favorite, and it's community-based theater. Oh, well, that one's like a theater, but then my favorite dance class, so it's like two favorite. Okay, so like my favorite dance class, I'm gonna say is jazz with Zach, because I've taken that class like 4 times, and every single time it challenges me because I know Zach now, so he knows me and he pushes me. And then right now with Paula, I'm taking community-based theater, and it's so nice because we all know each other and it's so collaborative. Paula is the sweetest, she's so understanding, and yeah, those have to be my favorite classes. It just makes like I just get excited to go to them, you know, even through Zoom. It's still exciting.
I completely agree. I took community-based theater last semester through Zoom as well. And it was so much fun. Like you partner up with communities that you typically probably won't reach out to unless you had a reason to. And this was a reason to reach out to these communities. And I feel like you learn a lot, not just from your peers, but from the communities you work with. And I'm sure Alondra can definitely, anyone who's taken that class can agree with that, is that you learn more about the communities that you work with. And I really believe that learning about other people and learning about our differences and similarities is what makes us whole, and what makes us complete is learning about each other, because we should be together, not separated. Does anyone else have anything to add to that? I guess, Emily, you seem a little ready.
Had to unmute myself. I love community-based theater too, because I love Paula. That's definitely it's definitely up there as one of my favorite classes. But my favorite classes are actually both taught by the same person. They're both taught by Colin. One is directing, which I mentioned earlier, and then the other one is the student-written one-acts, which was really interesting because I took that spring semester 2020. So we were in school for, I think it was like almost 2 months or a month and a half. I don't know how long it was. We were in school, so we were like learning, like we were blocking everything, we were doing the scenes, and all of a sudden we had to move everything online. So I felt like it was a learning curve for everyone. And it was just really it was interesting to see how we said it in person compared to like how we did it virtually. And I feel like Colin handled that transition like really, really well. And that class is also really cool because we had some of the actual playwrights in our class that wrote the plays that we were performing. So it was cool that we got to actually bring their pieces to life. So I really love that.
Okay, great. Well, I see we have a question in the chat, but before we answer that question, I would like to ask Bree or Chris if they wanted to share about their favorite class in depth.
You want to go first, Bree?
Sure. I have a lot of favorite classes. I mentioned some of them before, but some I didn't mention. I really did enjoy filmmaking. I never thought that I would love directing filmmaking so much. It taught me how to use Premiere Pro, which I use all the time now. And then I don't think I can give enough credit to any of the acting classes. That is, to me, that was the hardest class because it's constantly challenging you. There's every single assignment, like if we're doing a monologue, each monologue is different. I'm being tested with something every single time. And I know that once I graduate soon, I just need to continue to do acting classes. But yes, acting is that huge, it's just the one that's, I feel like for an acting major, it's gonna help you a lot and always challenge you.
That's great. We love classes that challenge us to be better, because we should always not only do better, but be better. So I love that. Chris, do you have anything else to add to that?
So I would just like it to be known that I am a designer. I'm in the technical aspect of theater, but my favorite class had to be when I took Acting 1 my freshman year, because without that class, I would not be as outgoing as I am today. It teaches you to step out of your comfort zone and not really care about what other people think about you, because what should matter is what you think about yourself. If you're confident, you're going to be confident. If you want to take that challenge, you take that challenge. Instead of seeing an obstacle as an obstacle, you see it as a challenge versus, an obstacle. So that class really taught me to take every single opportunity that I could have and work and strive to be as successful as I could in the department.
I would also like to add, I took that class with Chris. That was my first college class at 8 a.m. on a Thursday. I remember it like yesterday. Chris and I actually did a scene together, which was great. And I'm sure Chris remembers it. But it was just, I met so many great people through that class. Like, I really felt like, wow, college is going to be great when I entered that class, because I met so many wonderful people, and it was great. Like, my college experience has been worth it for sure. Like, I got one of those questions during one of my work shifts. A prospective student asked if it was worth it, and I definitely was like, yes, it has been worth it because of my experiences and because of the people I've met. So I do see that the question in the chat, will there be opportunities to work or learn with professionals within the field? Are there professors currently working within or have experiences in the professional world, like acting or stage managing? So yes, for example, we have our fabulous Professor Linda Besesti, also head of acting and voice. She is a working actress. She's been in many, many shows. I know that she just has a lot of experience, and she is very passionate about passing on her experience to us and teaching us like just everything she knows. She's just such a wonderful addition to the theater department, like everyone in the theater department, but she's definitely made such a big impact. I don't know if Bree wants to talk a little bit about that. I know Bree has had her as a professor before as well. I think most of us have. So
Yes, actually, it helps that she is working in the business, and not only that, she'll bring in other people that also work in the business. So I know that for business of acting, she brought in an agent, and that was interesting to have conversations with an agent about what they see every day, things they can't stand, things they wish they would see more, and things like that. And then I think she created this workshop and she opened it to the department where Jeff Perry came and taught the class. And I don't know if you know who Jeff Perry is, but he's Meredith's dad on Grey's Anatomy, or I know he's on Scandal. But it was very eye-opening to learn from someone who's been in the business for so long. Yeah, lots of opportunities.
I also see that Bernardo put in the chat, Linda just appeared in a couple episodes of The Conners on ABC. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. I also see that one of our former students, Michaela, put in that with them taking the class TH2440 with building sets, one of our staff, Kenneth, or Ken, we call him Ken, actually convinced them to change their major to theater from engineering. So that just shows like if you're not sure, participate, because when you participate, you'll really feel like, is this worth it? Is this what I want to do? Am I passionate about it? It'll just answer so many questions when you get involved. And I know we've talked about that so much today, but really get involved, because if you don't get involved, you're going to regret it once you graduate, because you're going to be like, oh, I wish I did that. Well, since you're a prospective student now, like you can say, I'm going to do that. So that'll be great for people to, for you to experience. Okay, so I do, let's see. I already asked Chris what are ways to get involved, not as a theater major. And I think that really goes along with what Michaela said in the chat about participating, because you can take 2440A and 4440A as non-majors. That is a great way to get involved in productions. Like, you don't have to be a theater major to enroll in those units, but when let's say you're a history major and you enroll in those units, you can work on a production. You may not be able to act in a production unless you're a major or minor for theater, but you'll be allowed to work on productions backstage, like through costumes, through set design, through running crew, things like that. There are great ways just to participate in theater. So I would like to ask my panelists before we end, is there anything you want to add or recommend to our prospective students that are here with us today or will be watching this recording? Yes, Chris.
To also elaborate a little bit more on Brendan's question about working with professors and professionals in the field, we also have the Shakespeare Festival that's usually held during the summer, where it's all about Shakespeare. The actors traditionally speak the Shakespeare scripts. Sometimes there's a little modifications in it, but if you're really into Shakespeare, we also have that as an opportunity that is outside of the department.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Bree, I see you have something to add.
I would say it doesn't really matter what you want to do with your life, even if it's electricity, if you want to be an electrician. I feel like theater can help anybody. I don't care what career you want to go into. I think you should get involved because it you just learn so much about yourself and what you can do as a person.
Oh yes, Emily, that is entirely true. Emily, what would you like to add to that?
I was gonna say like the same thing as Bree. I feel like you can apply theater to pretty much anything in your life. It gives you confidence. It makes you more of a people person. I used to be very shy before I did theater, and then I just kind of like blossomed, I guess. And I wanted to go back to Sam Brown's question when she said something you would tell an incoming freshman or transfer who's unsure about being a theater major. I think it doesn't hurt to ever try, and you can get involved in doing ACT is a perfect way of getting involved because it's a lot of people that are in theater that are also in ACT, but you also meet other people who are majors in something else. And I think you just will learn a lot more about yourself being in theater, and you can really apply it to anything. And I feel like it'll give you a lot of more confidence for the rest of your life. And I think I apply it even to my interviews. I'm interviewing for a bunch of jobs right now, and I'm using the things I learned in like Voice One, and I'm using the things I learned in other classes. And I feel like it's just funny that I can still apply it to everything that I'm doing right now. So I think it's really a good thing to do.
Thank you. I see someone said they think engineering majors should be required to take a music and theater class. I completely agree. I think everyone should take a theater class because 1, helps you with public speaking, 2, you meet great people, and 3, why not? I know Chris has something to add. Chris, what would you like to add?
Someone asked in the comments or in the chat, what makes CPP's theater department stand out compared to other schools, and why should a prospective student choose Cal Poly Pomona?
That is a great question. Wow, I'm like, I don't know. Why wouldn't you choose Cal Poly? I mean, after hearing us talk about it, I'm just like, no, I'm just kidding. But I feel like the Cal Poly's theater department is very unique in the sense where you sure, Cal Poly is not like a big theater school, but we have a strong theater department and we have a tight-knit community that helps each other. Chris mentioned earlier that some schools, they're more divided, and I guess that's the downside of it, is because at Cal Poly, we're not divided. We help each other out. We help each other succeed. And that's what you want in your theater community. You don't want people to be like, oh, I didn't get that role, I hate the lead. That's horrible. That's a horrible mentality to have, to put other people down just because, you didn't get the part. And I see Emily raised her hand. Is there something you would like to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that because I had the option of choosing between Fullerton and Cal Poly when I transferred, and I actually chose Cal Poly because I like the idea of having a smaller theater program. We have a very strong, and I feel like you just get more opportunities when you're in like a smaller, tight-knit community. And since I'm a general major, I've been able to do pretty much everything at this point. And I feel like sometimes at other universities, you kind of have to stick to whatever your like sub plan is or your option is. And I think it's just nice because you meet everyone. You get to know everyone at Cal Poly in the theater department, because we're just such like a small, tight-knit community. And like what Laura said, and I think that's just like really important. That was where I based my big decision off of. I didn't want to go to some big school where I was going to be like, a little fish in like a big pond. Is that what they say? I don't know. I would rather like, we're all learning together, and I get to meet everyone, and you get to have opportunities in pretty much everything you do. And that's what I wanted to say.
No, I completely agree, because we're like a family. As cliche as that sounds, we are a family. Like we believe in each other, and we believe in each other's success. Like we don't put people down because they got an opportunity that you wanted. Like we love seeing people succeed, and I think that's what makes it great. I don't know if anyone has anything else to add, if there are any more questions, but I want to thank my panelists for talking about so many great things, so many examples of their student experiences, because we love hearing about them, because we are all students, and that is what's valuable to prospective students, to know about what they might experience at Cal Poly Pomona, what they will experience at Cal Poly Pomona. I hope if you are a prospective student, I hope that today's session was super helpful. I know my panelists and I worked extremely hard on making this possible. If anyone has any questions, please drop them in the chat box. I would like to thank everyone, and I mean everyone, for coming, for supporting me along my journey at CPP. If there are no questions, I would like to thank my friends, my panelists who are also my friends, family, mentors, and everyone that has made this possible. Thank you so much. I hope you all had a wonderful night. I'll be lingering here for 5 more minutes if there are any additional questions, but I'll be stopping the recording now.